The second wave of COVID-19 has been devastating. The system's apathy and gross mismanagement has left us struggling for breath. But thankfully, all is not lost yet. We've seen innumerable faceless, nameless heroes who've come forward to help those desperately scrambling for basics and who've restored our faith in humanity yet again. Doctors, nurses, journalists, mental health practitioners, volunteers, drivers, delivery staff, to our local kirana wala. I'm sure I'm forgetting many others. We owe a great deal to them because without their selfless services, we wouldn't have made it thus far. Different Strokes is proud to have had this opportunity to speak to a few of these COVID heroes who have been working relentlessly by putting themselves and their families at a serious risk of infection. We couldn't thank them enough. But I hope through this series, we're able to tell them how grateful we are to each one of them. In this podcast, I talked to Dr. Anita Gole, MD in Physiology, who was called back on duty last year to handle the COVID war room in Mumbai, while she was still on her maternity leave. Between her duty and her newborn, she chose to be on duty right at the front line. Thank you very much, Dr. Anita, for joining Different Strokes. I want to start by asking you what has changed for you professionally and personally since the pandemic?
Thank you, Diksha. Actually, life has been really topsy-turvy since the last year when the pandemic hit all of us. So not only, as you said, professionally also it has been a difficult journey and that has affected the personal life as well. Being a doctor and being at the center of all of it, there was hardly any time which I could give to my very young son, and this was a very crucial part of my life, and I think it's everybody's part of life. I'm sure every mother will agree with that.
Right.
Every woman will agree with that, because this is the most important part of life of a woman.
Right. And you were a new mother, right? Last year? And you were called back on duty.
Yes.
So how did you handle that dilemma?
The dilemma, actually, being a doctor, being a medical practitioner, this dilemma we encounter more often than you would like to admit. But then every time the challenges are different, the stakes are different. So this was like when the COVID hit India last year. I was on maternity leave and I was with my son at my in-laws' place in Pune.
Right.
And my son was 6 to 7 months old at that time. And at that time, I was planning to avail childcare leave as well. I thought that since I was still breastfeeding, I didn't know how will I manage my duties as well as my young baby. So, but then as I was watching on TV, hundreds of families getting affected and watching my colleagues crashing under the load of cases. The cases were surging day after day, and there was very little information regarding the disease itself. Hardly we knew what to do, and we were just taking every day as it was coming.
Right.
And in addition to that, our resident doctors, our senior doctors were also coming to the deadly virus. So on one side, I had this thing in my mind that, the question actually was not about whether I'll have to join or not. Even before the call came to join, I knew what I had to do. When you're a doctor and you are capable of saving lives, you're trained for that.
Right.
And your education teaches you that. You can't just be a bystander and watch it from a distance.
Right.
And at that point of time, I really felt that the privilege of putting doctor prefix in front of my name didn't feel right if I don't rise up to the occasion. So the dilemma was not about whether I should go or it was how I will manage when I go. Will my son be taken good care of? Will he be able to stay without me being around? And then what will I do of breastfeeding? And more so than that, how will I stay away from him? What could be of more priority for a woman than taking care of a baby so young? So that was the only question in the mind. If I have to go, how will I manage?
Right.
At that point of time,
guilty? Did you make you feel guilty going back to work?
Yes, a little bit, yes. And to this date, I still feel guilty. I wasn't there when he needed me the most. The most important, crucial first 2 years of a child's life are the most crucial for growth and development.
Right.
So, but then on the other side, I also felt like a soldier because there was a war out there. It still is a war out there, and I just can't, sit at home. I wanted to contribute my bit in every possible way. Thankfully, my families were extremely supportive, both my parents and my husband's parents, and my husband himself being a doctor, he was also in the middle of it.
Right.
But still, he never told me that don't go and don't join.
Right.
So that was it. And initially, I remember when I had just passed out of MBBS and I was a medical officer in a municipal hospital at Surat. That was the year of 2006 when Gujarat was badly affected by floods.
Right.
And I was living with my parents in Baroda and traveled from Baroda to Surat to do my duties as a medical officer. And we handled more than 300 patients a day, PICU, NICU and ward, even the patients who didn't have beds, they were lying on the floors. So at that time, I was young and just fresh out of medical school, and that was the worst form of devastation and human suffering that I saw. So people were so helpless at that time. So the only sliver of hope they had were the healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses.
Right.
So at that time, I understood the value of good medical care and the healthcare workers. That was very early in my career. So I knew this time around that how important it is. And I could play a very crucial role. The only issue that I myself got COVID positive when I joined back at work in Mumbai. So I was isolated at my quarters in South Mumbai.
Right.
But then I was still managing the work on the phone. And the worst part was that I could not see my son for almost 2 months because not only that, we didn't know how much long is the virus going to affect your body and how much long it is going to be present in your body. I didn't want to infect him. I didn't want to infect my elderly in-laws. So that would have been really risky. So that part was difficult as I was all alone at that time. And I used to cry very often. But then the work itself, although I was quarantined, but I was still available on phone for the work. So the workload kept me going during that time.
Right. So obviously there's tremendous pressure on doctors like you've mentioned, and it does impact your mental health because at the end of the day, you have families, right? You have your own personal lives. Your health is at risk. You're also bringing the infection back home. So there's a huge risk that your families are exposed to day in and day out, right? And you being a new mother, obviously that risk was manifold. So were you living in that constant fear?
Absolutely. I was all the time in the fear. I'm still in the fear because I still go to work, and now we are better prepared mentally because although we know that about the disease more now, vaccination is there, so I have been vaccinated. I vaccinated my parents as well.
Right.
So, but then there's always a fear of something unknown. For example, now we knew about the first wave, but we were not prepared about the second wave.
Yeah.
It has hit us badly.
Yes.
So that unpreparedness, the future which is unsure of, that makes me fearful, and I don't know if something goes, because it's like if one person is affected in the house, definitely others would also be affected. So that is always there. So now, since there was so much, there were so many issues about oxygen availability as well as bed availability all across the country. So that itself was very scary for every one of us, since we are also although we are doctors, but we know what we faced, what our colleagues faced in our hospital. We could not in various groups, all the doctors shared how much helpless we are feeling, because every day we were receiving calls for help in admissions. Not only the kins of the doctors, the staff workers, but many people were still waiting for the beds to be vacant. And one of our senior colleagues said, she is the nodal officer, she said that it's very sad that I have to book beds in in case of a death of a patient. So that was the saddest part. You couldn't help your own colleagues in the same hospital where you're working.
Right.
That was really sad, and that itself is very scary and depressing at the same time, because you are trained for your work, but you're not trained for so much, massive load of cases when it's beyond human capacity to handle.
So when you come back home, you're obviously carrying so much within you, right? The distress of the entire day, and how does one switch off and try and put on that happy, cheerful face, because we don't want to pass on that negative energy and distress to our families, right? So it's very difficult to switch off and then change to a different mode altogether. How does one do that?
So it's a very difficult part to the other way also. Like otherwise, when we were like not in case of pandemic. Otherwise, also we go through so much in life in our professional sphere and outside the house, which we need to keep it there itself, and we don't have to bring that home because we don't want to carry the stress and the negativity of that. Now, there's so much negativity all around. The most important aspect of that is you have to stay yourself mentally balanced and stable. Otherwise, it will reflect on the people at your home who are, looking up to you. Since you're a doctor, so you are their strength of pillar, whom they would look up to when they need you in any case of eventuality. So you can't be weak at this point of time, even though you are crumbling inside.
Right.
And you want to cry out loud. So many times I feel that I should want to cry out loud and take out all the stress, but you can't do it because you have to stand strong to the people around you. And for most important aspect of my life is that I have a baby who's now 18 months old, and he just jumps and runs to me when I go home. So
yeah, that's a great stress buster.
Yeah, it's the best stress buster for any parent.
Yeah.
So you forget everything about the outside world, and that is the best happiness one can have. So that's how I have to switch off. You don't have a choice.
Right. It's a difficult situation to be in, but I do want to talk about the certain hard facts, Dr. Anita. I mean, we're reading a lot about this in the papers also, that there's a war going out there, and the doctors are actually fighting this war with sticks. They're fighting missiles with sticks. What do you have to say about that?
Definitely, I would say that doctors are just part of the system. So you would relate that you would expect the best out of doctors. That's precisely okay. As a common man, as a layman, you would want that your doctors have to perform, but they are just one part of the system. The whole system, the hospital, the infrastructure, the management, the other healthcare workers like nurses and other hospital staff. So doctors are just one part of the system, and they have limitations. Because although if you ask me, then since the beginning of this pandemic, on one side we were like all charged up and all motivated to fight this battle. But on the other hand, there were people who were not cooperative at all. Like people who were turned out to be COVID positive. They were still roaming around with masks. They were still, even though they were quarantined, they were supposed to stay home. They were supposed to take precautions. But people were still roaming around, and still that is happening. Many people are not cooperating. So that has led to the spread of the infection. Transmission cycle needs to be broken down. So I would say that the responsibility the accountability lies with every human being, every citizen of the country, not only the doctor. Because there is everybody has seen that when we are fighting this war, we can do very limited. Every day protocols are changing, every day management is changing, drugs are changing, whichever medicines we were giving earlier, now they say that they are not up to the mark,
the disease is evolving still.
There are mutations. So the only way we can protect ourselves is through precautions.
Right.
And that's what we have seen from the beginning. It has not been happening.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying that doctors have their own limitations. As I said, they are just part of the system, and what you can do is be more responsible. For the short term, I'm saying. Long term, definitely the country needs to do a lot for their doctors and for the health and the infrastructure of the country. Lots needs to be done still. But this is, I'm saying, just a short term goal that we have to be responsible, since precaution is the only cure available for us right now.
Absolutely. What do you think would help make your lives easier immediately, as an immediate step?
Immediately, I would say that doctors are shaken completely. They are extremely tired and, they need a breather right now. I would say, in last year, what we saw was that, many people were, as I said, were not cooperative. And when many health teams, when our medical teams used to visit homes for the home isolated patients, people used to, throw stones at the medical teams, and they used to keep ready the sticks. Just to bait the medical teams with sticks, and this was so depressing and upsetting.
It's unbelievable.
In spite of our best efforts, and even you must have seen the news latest in Delhi, what happened, that when the patients die and the relatives are agitated.
Yeah,
they harm the doctors first. They don't see that doctors are just part of the hospital. They are just doing duty.
Yeah,
right? But still, I would tell you, this hasn't come in way of the doctors. The doctors are still motivated to work, even though we are exhausted, tired, mentally, physically, but we are still want to give our 100%, whatever energy is remaining. I'm sure each one of us is willing to do whatever we can, but because this is what we are trained for.
Absolutely.
The schedule, the medical education and medical training is such that you are prepared for such an eventuality. It's a very grueling schedule and system we have for the training of doctors.
Right.
So we are prepared for this. We can stay awake for 48 hours, 72 hours altogether, doing our duty without sitting for a single minute.
Right.
So still we are charged up, still we are motivated, but definitely a breather is needed. Some more, and it will help if the people take more responsibility, each one of us,
Right. I hope this message from you is able to, put some sense into all of us who are listening.
Yes.
I really hope that happens. I want to quickly ask you about anything unnerving that you've come across, apart from the fact that, we do expect more responsibility from every individual, because it's a collective battle that all of us are fighting, and it's not just on one particular person or team to, mitigate this crisis. What have you come across that has made you really furious?
So, the incident that I mentioned, that such are the cases which we have witnessed last year. In addition to that, even our, some staff members, we early on when the pandemic was just big, I'm not sure now, but then early on, even their children, they were told that, don't play with my kids because your mother or your father is working in the hospital. They called up the in charges in the hospital, please keep your staff in the hospital, don't send them home, because otherwise all the people in the society will get affected by the coronavirus. That was really, I would say, lack of education, lack of humanity on part of everyone, because being in medical field, we are all very careful and very particular about taking precautions, and in spite of that,
cool.
Yeah, that was very sad to see. It's okay, whatever you do with adults is fine. Something you do with the kids is going to remain in their mind forever. That this was the reason I was, the other kids didn't play with me, because my parents are medical professionals. And they were playing so much important role in a pandemic situation.
Absolutely.
That was really disheartening to see. And I really wish that people are more aware, more educated about the things.
Yeah, and more empathetic, more than anything else.
More empathetic, obviously, more empathetic. People are doing their job to whatever extent possible with them.
Yeah.
And they are also human. They are also part of society.
Yeah. I think we're seeing more of that in this wave, the second wave. More and more people are coming forward to help each other. And I think that's really restoring at least my faith in humanity, that, it still exists. It's not dead
yet.
Yes,
absolutely. You're right about that. And we have seen more involvement, public involvement now, and more empathy from the common people. And because the situation is worse this time. The second wave is really, really bad, and everybody has to rise to the occasion.
I agree. Last question to you. What's keeping you on, apart from, of course, the duty that you have and the responsibility that you have? What is keeping you on every day?
I would give the credit to my peers and my colleagues, and I have worked with the best team. Highly motivated people. I would say that I was in charge of a team which consisted of 25 to 30 people, and they were data entry operators, they were doctors, they were dental surgeons who were volunteering, and they were second year, third year MBBS students who volunteered, who willingly came to contribute. And every day was a charged up day. Although the boundary of day and night was totally faded for us. We didn't know when was the night and when was the day, but I worked with a highly motivated team, and let me tell you, the team is equally motivated or more so motivated this time. So that keeps me running, that keeps me going, because in spite of all the negativity, as you put it rightly, so much depressing environment all around, but still people are there, highly charged up, young, old, all the same. And secondly is my baby, my son, who was all the time cheerful, happy, running around and giving me all the energy.
I think we owe it to our children for sure. They deserve a better future.
Absolutely. Yeah. They are totally naive, they're totally innocent. They don't know what is going outside. We have restricted them to our houses. We don't take them out to play. But they are making peace with it.
Absolutely.
And still they find something or the other to amuse themselves with.
I agree. Thank you so much. This was really amazing and very, very motivating and inspiring for me as well. And I hope people who are going to listen to this podcast are at least able to introspect a little bit and do a little bit of self-reflection that, it's everybody's responsibility to fight this virus and come out victorious on the other side. Thank you so much, Dr. Anita.
Thank you, Diksha. Thank you so much.